Okay. I forgot how insane everything under Clip Studio looks. Okay. I'm gonna in the middle of making a chart and I'm gonna show you the chart and we're gonna finish it together so that you can see that I actually understand everything. Everything related to Nightshade, everything related to Nightshade makes perfect sense if you're me and you know everything. All Making all of the canon Darkrai the same character is actually perfectly sensible, and I'm about to show you why and how. So first of all, we have a we have we have a color code. We have we have a color code right here. Really important to keep track of what each of the colors means. So the pink ones are everything's the same and don't worry about it. The red one is the new stuff that happens when it's all the same guy. And also I added something. And then the blue one is there are two timelines involved in this chart and you have to keep track of it. So the blue one's there. So first of all, Alamos and Shadows of Almia happen the same. That's all the same. This is just the only difference here is that it was one guy in both of them. He was just having a really bad time, okay? It was one guy. And then after Shadows of Almia happens, Nightshade has a second Ranger adventure where there's this up and coming new kid, and he's like, I feel bad for kind of messing with the Rangers last time, and this kid seems cool, so we're gonna be friends because he's being nice to me. They go on a beautiful, awesome adventure that where they end up uncovering this like government conspiracy where before Type Null Silvally was created by I forget the name of the team. Before they made that, they had a prototype that was fucked up and scary. It was like they were experimenting on Dittos, and they ended up with Type Null. But before that, they had a prototype, and it kind of looked like Arceus, so they called it Protosius. And then Protosius possesses Nightshade, and he kills the kid in the team. Now we're gonna leave that for a second, and the events of X and Y go wrong, and Lysander fires the ultimate weapon at full power, and it wipes out all of humanity. Okay, and that's the timeline that Pokepark and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon all happen in, and I'm pretty sure that's actually canon. And we're gonna find out when the new Poketopia game happens. We're gonna find out whether they're confirming that for real in that game or not. I don't think they will, but they might. So in this, there's also an evil Darkrai in Pokepark and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Pokepark 2 has Darkrai where he's like, I'm gonna make I'm gonna make a world that's just nice and dark and everybody's my friend, but nobody wants to live there, so he has to brainwash everybody. And it's like kind of weak because it's just like, no, Darkrai, you can't do that. And then he's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And then he's your friend. And so he does that, but instead of going, I'm sorry, he's like, well, I'm just gonna be mean about it then. And then Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Sky happens, okay? And that's all the same guy. This is this is all the same guy. He got possessed, and then the world ended, but only for humans. And then he was like, I guess I can. I guess we can work with this. So that happens, and then at the end of Pokemon Sky, Palkia sends Nightshade to Super Hell. Parentheses forward in time. So then he gets turned into the protagonist of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Super, and the events of Super happen. Okay, so at the end of Super, Protosius is dark matter. All right, because it's never really discussed what dark matter is, so it's the same thing. So Protosius stopped having a body and just became this like evil godlike entity. And the ending happened. It's really beautiful this time because it's like instead of just being nonsensical, it like ties back to previous events in Nightshade's life, and it's like a story of catharsis where he chooses to change and be different. Right? So you followed all that so far. I lied to you. This doesn't actually happen in this order. First, what happens is he gets sent to the other timeline. Okay, he gets sent to the other timeline. So we're going back. We're going back to here, but now the ultimate weapon didn't fire. All right. So, so, so X and Y happen. Okay, and then we get to the events of ZA. All right. Now, the Darkrai in hyperspace is Evil Nightshade. This is where the timeline splits, okay? So now we're gonna grab this color, okay? Okay? Other Nightshade gets turned into a human. Oh, and also, so, uh, dark matter gets separated from him, and we're gonna make this really small. I'm gonna make this smaller. So dark matter gets separated, but it's gonna come back. This is gonna be relevant again in a second. So we're gonna put this over here, okay? And it's gonna come back and it's gonna make sense. This is all gonna make sense, okay? It's all gonna make sense. So um, this is really well. It's not the confusing part because I know how everything works and I understand. And I'm explaining it to you right now because I know how it all works. So human Nightshade fixes evil Nightshade in this timeline. This that's what happens. So it's actually red because this isn't related to the other timeline anymore. So we actually need to make this smaller again. I've already. You can tell by the shape and size of the canvas. I've already done this a couple times. And we're gonna move. We're gonna move. We're gonna move these down. All right. We're gonna move these down a little bit. And we're gonna erase this for now. Um, Actually, we're gonna move this one down too. Oops. We're gonna move this one down too. I don't care that that's messy, so that's fine. So we're gonna bring this down here, and we're just gonna kind of fix that. Good enough. Okay. Okay. All of this is making sense so far, right? All of this clicks. Human Nightshade from the other timeline has nefarious goals. He's like, this version of me didn't do it right. Clearly, I have a better plan. So he's gonna use. He's trying to do something sneaky to use his station as best trainer in Lumios to take over Lumios mob boss style and get Corbo out of the picture. That's his plan. He's like, well, being human is actually an upgrade. This is great for me. This works because this Nightshade is still possessed. Okay, the dark matter thing makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, it makes sense. In fact, we're just gonna erase this because it makes sense. And Nightshade doesn't know crucial detail. Nightshade doesn't fully know that he's possessed. He kind of the events of this kind of get wiped from his mind as part of the possession. He forgets that this happens and he doesn't know that he's evil. So everything he does is completely justified in his mind. Um all of the stuff he did over here made sense to him. He had perfect justification for all of it. So all of this happens. Um and then God is like, "No, dude. No, 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 no." Okay? And then he sent back to the other timeline. And then all of this happens. And then he figures it out. And then he lives happily ever after. And the only problem, the only problem with this entire chart is that there's a whole plot point in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Super that the partner is actually secretly a Mew the whole time. Or like they were a Mew and they got resurrected. And there was a different thing. There was a different event. There was a different event where the player was a human and they were friends with the Mew and they stopped a different world ending event that killed both of them and caused them to be resurrected. And the thing is, you don't have to worry about that. Don't worry. Just don't worry about that. Just don't worry. Just don't worry. Everything about this makes sense. Every single part of this timeline makes sense. All right. There's no part of it that's confusing. It's color coded for your convenience. All right. All of this, all of this makes complete perfect sense. And the Mew just doesn't matter. We're ignoring. Something did happen with the Mew. Okay, that did happen. It's just not relevant. It's not relevant to anything else. It doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about it. It did happen. It's it's just not important. Okay, all of it makes sense.